mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the one and only DJ Storms, and I would like to welcome each and every single one of you back here to a very special Sunday stream, streaming live across 4 different platforms, 6 different accounts, as of course, you already know who I am, Mr. Controversy and the operator of the best damn Twitter handle, Oh, wow. Woo! Do you smell that? You know what that is right there? I'll tell you what it is. It is the smell of pure excellence. Wait for it. Wait for it. To mankind. And this is the official rewind for WWE Crown Jewel 2022, which of course streamed live on Peacock from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia yesterday afternoon, starting at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And as usual, I got me a guest. I'm not alone. Back with me for the first time since the rundown for Money in the Bank. He is a hardcore sports member. He is a lifelong Giants fan, lifelong wrestling fan, DJ Storm's posse member, and here to help me dissect everything that went down. Please help me welcome back to the channel, Mac the Giants fan. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Always a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me back here, too, man. Love your energy, man. Love what you do here on this channel, man. I love your wrestling content, brother.
That's what we got to do. We always got to make sure that we are bringing the fucking heat. Always got to make sure that we're bringing the heat. But we got a lot of material to dissect. We got a lot of material to go into. Crown Jewel. I would probably have to say that this show was probably the worst out of all the builds that we've seen towards a pay-per-view under the Triple H administration. However, at the end of the day, when it comes to WWE as a whole, usually when we do get these really, really shitty builds towards pay-per-views, the overall show in the end turns out to be very, very good. And this was the exact same case that we got with Crown Jewel last night. So much so that I would even go so far as to say that this was probably the best Saudi Arabian show that they've put on, and probably the second best pay-per-view under the Triple H banner. It was Clash at the Castle, Crown Jewel, Extreme Rules, and SummerSlam, as we were actually discussing before we went live here. But I wanted to get your overall thoughts on the show before we get into the specifics. What were your thoughts on the overall build and the show as a whole?
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. The build was almost nothing. There almost was no build. Some of these matches almost seemed to come out of nowhere, it seemed like. But as far as the show was surprisingly entertaining, man. I mean, I remember sitting watching it yesterday before I had to go to work. I was pretty tired, laying down, watching it, and it kept my attention. I mean, it kept me up. I didn't fall asleep on it. The matches were surprisingly good, and I was I was impressed with it, man. Like you said, I agree. Totally the best show I've seen over in Saudi Arabia, and all the Saudi Arabia shows. Usually that's kind of just dialing in for the Crown Jewel shows, but this one they really look like they really put some effort into it, and it was really surprisingly good. Like I said, I was impressed.
Yeah, we'll talk about everything in depth. We'll be talking about, for the most part, very, very positive show. Obviously, we'll talk about the couple of tidbits that they kind of fucked up on. And it was pretty prominent, but it was not prominent enough to make this a thumbs down show. Shout out to all the people in the chat right now. We got a nice little audience so far. We got DD, my number one mod, as per usual. We got Anaya. And Faction Cast Podcast, or Anya, rather, excuse me, or Anaya, however the hell you want to pronounce it. But either way, thank you all for joining. I hope you guys have had a very good weekend so far, and I greatly appreciate you choosing to end your weekend with a little bit of Mac and DJ Storms. And we are going to get right into the festivities here in just a little bit. But first things first, Mac, I'm going to throw it back to you. I want you to tell me where everyone can find you on social media.
Well, you can find me here on YouTube. You can find me Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of it's Mac the Giants fan. Just how you see my name spelled right up here. I come in right now during football season. I kind of focus more on my football content, New York Giant content. When I get into the off season, I dabble with a little bit of the wrestling and stuff like that during the off season, but you can definitely, like I said, find me on all social media platforms at Mac the Giants fan. And I do a show every Wednesday, 5:30 Eastern, with my co-host Adam Casas. It's called the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. Break down the whole NFC East division: the Eagles, the Giants, the Cowboys, and the Washington Commanders. And usually following the New York Giants of games, I do a show called the True Blue Aftermath, where it's just a live post-game reaction to the New York Giants game. Every Sunday after New York Giants games, Giants are off this week, which just gives me this free time to hang out here with my guy DJ.
You already know the drill. But as far as I go, you can follow me on social media, on Twitter and Instagram at HistoryMakerDJS. Once again, that is at HistoryMakerDJS, both on Twitter and Instagram. You can add me on Facebook as well. For collaborations and business inquiries, please send me an email. My email is, of course, StormsTakeOver@gmail.com. Please make sure that you like the official DJ Storms business page, and I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook. That is, all of those links are in the description, as well as the links to Mac's social medias, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Please make sure, if you haven't already done so, go check out the LFU from yesterday. We actually streamed live Saturday morning before Crown Jewel went on the air. We had a nice, fun time. It was a fairly quick show, and I wrapped up everything just in time for Crown Jewel, which ended up turning out to be a great show. Please make sure, if you haven't already done so, I don't know why you wouldn't have at this rate. We are almost 9 minutes into the stream. If you haven't liked the video, man, I don't know what the fuck you're doing here. When you come on in, you got to make sure that you like the video, whether you're watching on Twitter or Twitch or Facebook or YouTube. You got to make sure that you like the stream, share it out on all platforms, social media as well, whether it be Twitter or Pinterest or Tumblr, Snapchat or TikTok or Facebook or Instagram. You got to share it out. Share it out, get me out there, and also get Hardcore Sports out there, because we're streaming live on the Hardcore Sports social media pages, minus Instagram down over there. Check out Hardcore Sports. And we are 3 subs. That's right, 3 subs away from 200. Hardcore Sports is one of the fastest growing brands in sports analytics today. So people, if you haven't subscribed to Hardcore Sports, go over to Hardcore Sports right now and subscribe. Of course, you can like the video if you're watching on YouTube as well, and then go over to the Hardcore Sports channel and like the stream over there. Subscribe to both channels, and when you subscribe to me and Hardcore Sports, hit that notifications bell with a huge coup de grace. That way, you will know whenever I pop up on YouTube, because whenever I pop up on YouTube, Baby, it is the best time to be on YouTube. And you know why? Because it's the only time that you won't get to see this glorious sideburn chin strap combination and this beautiful mustache right here. This is Earl Cole's favorite part of the stream right here. He's not here. I'm sure we'll see him later, but we're going to light it up right here with a little and a dash of and a whole lot of because like Campbell's tomato soup with grilled cheese. Obviously, you got to have two types of cheeses. You got to have the American and the provolone in there. Obviously, like a nice T-bone steak, medium rare, seasoned perfectly with a baked potato on the side with scallions and cheddar cheese. Just like a nice hot plate of linguine marinara with a spicy meatball. I'm just so good. Everybody wants a piece of the Stormsmeister. I mean, Mac, you know what's up. You know what's up. But anyway, we're not going to waste any more time. We are going to get straight into the festivities here. We are going to talk about Crown Jewel 2022. And they actually started the show off in a pretty interesting manner. And I'm not complaining that they did start the show off this way, but they started the show off with Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. So this was probably the most intense way to start off the show. And I'm not complaining at all that they started the show like this. And up until the ending, which we will talk about, this was shaping up to be a much better match than their match at the Royal Rumble. And it all revolves around how the match at the Rumble was produced. So we get Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley making their usual entrance. Bobby wasted no time. He went right on the attack, right after Lesnar, sending him over the steps, and Lesnar sold the knee. So that became the story of the match. Lashley, this was before the bell even rang, Lashley with a spear on the floor, he tossed Brock Lesnar back into the ring. The match started. We get a spear in the ring. Lesnar then rolled to the outside. Lashley ran around the ringside area, speared Lesnar through the barricade, which looked great. Back into the ring. One more spear in the ring. 1, 2, Lesnar kicked out. So Lesnar now regained control. He reversed a hurt lock, and he delivered 3 German suplexes, selling the knee. He then connected with the F5. However, he wasted just a couple of seconds because his knee gave out on him. So the knee was hurt as he delivered the F5. That gave Lashley enough time to recover, and Lashley kicked out. Lashley then clotheslined Brock Lesnar to the floor. And then Lashley did that spot where he puts someone on his shoulders and he runs them headfirst into the post. Lesnar sold it beautifully. He just absolutely fucking splatted on the floor, which looked great. Back in the ring, Lashley, he reversed an F5 and dropped Brock Lesnar with a spine buster. Brock Lesnar got a decent amount of air on this spine buster. Lashley then set up Lesnar, locked in the hurt lock. And the hurt lock was locked in. Brock Lesnar was fading. He was down to one knee. The referee did the three arm checks. 1, 2, but Lesnar kept the arm up on the third try. And this was a great moment right here. This is what I love about Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar, he was being asked by the referee, what do you say, Brock? You want to give up? You want to give up? And Brock Lesnar, I chuckled at this. Brock Lesnar screamed at the referee, I don't want to give up. Shut up. Which I laughed at. I thought that was great. Lesnar then hyped himself up. Lesnar kicked himself off the turnbuckle. This looked terrible. He kicked himself off the turnbuckle, and they tried to recreate what Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler did at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4 in 2018, where Shayna had the Karafuda clutch, and Kairi Sane, she rolled backwards to get the pinfall on Shayna Baszler. Brock did not roll backwards. He just laid flat on Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley's shoulders weren't even on the mat. His shoulders weren't even on the mat. It legitimately reminded me of what happened back at Money in the Bank 2019 when Rey Mysterio tried to get a cradle on Samoa Joe, and Samoa Joe's right shoulder was clearly off the mat. It looked terrible. It looked absolutely terrible. So the ref counts 3. The match was much better than the match at the Rumble. This match was a lot more quicker and it was a lot more intense. However, the ending was terrible. I understand what they were trying to do, but I mean, if Lesnar's not going to roll all the way back and bridge himself, I'm not sure why you did that ending. Not sure why you did that ending at all. That's number 1. And number 2, if Lesnar is incapable of rolling backwards and bridging himself, why didn't you just do an incident where Brock Lesnar F5s Bobby Lashley through a table, and then Lashley can't get back in the ring in time? That way, Lashley would be protected in defeat. Or if you wanted to, you could have had Brock Lesnar pin Bobby Lashley, and Bobby Lashley could have gotten his foot on the rope, and the ref didn't see it. That would have been a suitable way to set up a third match, as well. So this ending, fucking terrible, ruined the flow of the match. Lashley, pissed off, then attacked Brock Lesnar after the match, locking him in the Hurt Lock and walking away under his own power, looking strong, leaving Lesnar down in the ring. And that was it. Went about 6 minutes. It was intense. It was physical. But at the end of the day, that ending just left a sour taste in everyone's mouth. That was probably one of the biggest negatives coming out of the show. It was one of the few negatives, but it was a very much overbearing negative. Now, again, I understand what they were trying to do, but there could have been a much better way to go about it. The execution of it, look, it was fine in theory, but the execution of it was fucking atrocious. Absolutely horrendous execution on this ending. So now we're looking down the barrel of a third match. Now, before we get to talking about the third match, I'm going to hand it over to Mac. Mac, give me your analytical dissection on this match. Give me your in-depth thoughts and your opinion on why the match was either good, why was it bad, and what do you make of this ending?
Well, yeah, the match was awesome to me because it was, like you said, hard-hitting, intense. I love the way these guys kind of played their roles to the crowd. Saudi Arabia, we know is a very Brock Lesnar friendly place. Obviously, when he's over there, no matter what the situation is, what he's currently doing, he's kind of their face over there in Saudi Arabia, so to speak. And Bobby Lashley, who's been a face pretty much over on Raw for the past however many amount of months, he kind of had to step back and kind of play that heel role a little bit over there, man. Like you said, with the attack of him at the end, with the attack late in the match, just the way he attacked him before the match, it was. I like the way they kind of accepted the roles for the situation that they were in, and they delivered a good match. Like you said, the ending, yeah, that ending it ruined what was really a really good match to me, honestly. And like you said, I can't wait to see what happens going forward. I'm assuming at Survivor Series, hopefully. But yeah, it was definitely a strong match. But you said it all. The ending really left a lot to be desired. It just wasn't good. Like you said, I noticed the same thing. Like you just said, Lashley's shoulders weren't even down. It just looked really wonky, really really bad, and it just really tainted what was a really good, high energy, intense match. Like you said, way much more energy than the match at the Royal Rumble. And I look forward to seeing a third one with these guys, man. I look forward to it.
But here's the thing, though. We're looking at the barrel of a third match. That's not a problem whatsoever. But when is it going to take place? Now, some people were saying the Rumble. Some people were saying WrestleMania. Those two events, they may be the correct events to have a match like that at. But if we're talking about the overall feeling of Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, I'm sure that a lot of people are willing to move on from this right now. So the best possible scenario would probably be to do it at Survivor Series for a couple reasons, actually. Number one, you're really not going to want to leave Bobby Lashley off of your final pay-per-view of the year. This is your final main roster pay-per-view of the year, the last Big Four main roster pay-per-view of the year. And Bobby Lashley, we thought he was probably going to be involved in a War Games scenario, or if anything, he was probably going to defend the United States Championship until Seth Rollins got it from him. That's not the case. None of us thought that Brock Lesnar was going to come back and challenge Bobby Lashley. We ended up getting that, but at the end of the day, the best possible scenario would be to do the rematch at Survivor Series, because you can't just build Survivor Series around the War Games match. Now, the War Games scenario is going to sell itself, but at the end of the day, that's lazy. It's lazy to just sell the pay-per-view on a War Games match, and that's it. You got to build a strong undercard too, because we had some really strong undercards on the War Games matches over in NXT. You take a look at some of the undercard matches on NXT TakeOver War Games in the past, and we had matches like Dexter Lumis and Cameron Grimes in a strap match. We had matches like Finn Balor and Matt Riddle, Andrade and Drew McIntyre for the NXT Championship. We had matches like Tommaso Ciampa and the Velveteen Dream, Aleister Black and Johnny Gargano, Damian Priest, Pete Dunne, and Killian Dane in a triple threat match back in 2019. We had some damn good fucking undercard matches on NXT TakeOver War Games back in the day. So, if anything, if you want to build up the overall show and not just the War Games match to be as big as possible, a third match between Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar would probably be the best route to go. And on top of that, it gives Bobby Lashley something to do. Bobby Lashley can finally get his revenge on Brock Lesnar for what he did to him back at the Monday Night Raw season premiere and him fucking him over out of the United States Championship. And then we can move on to Bobby Lashley being built up to be in the Royal Rumble match, because I'm assuming they're going to build up the Royal Rumble match to be big. We're probably going to have Lashley in there. We're going to have Drew McIntyre in there. We're going to have Braun Strowman in there. We're going to have Cody Rhodes is probably going to come back. We're probably going to have Kevin Owens in there and Sami Zayn and Matt Riddle. Randy Orton's probably going to come back. So we're going to have a lot of big names in the Rumble. And Bobby Lashley getting the victory here would be probably the best possible scenario in order to, boost him to the Rumble. And then Brock Lesnar should also be in the Rumble, because I got a great idea as to who Brock Lesnar should be fighting at WrestleMania. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But first things first, I'm going to hand it over to you. Is Survivor Series the best possible route to go, or is it a scenario where you want to extend it?
I feel like Survivor Series, because right now it's still fresh in everybody's, it's still fresh right now, you know what I mean? And you don't want it to kind of cool off where it's going right now. This rivalry has been intense over the last couple of weeks. Just the build up for the match yesterday has been pretty intense. So you want to I prefer it to be a Survivor Series, like I said, while it's still fresh in everybody's heads, you know what I mean? Before anybody can forget about it, because you don't want people to kind of forget about it and then just spring it back on them again. It'll still be good, but right now I think is the best opportunity is to just go ahead and maybe wrap this thing up at Survivor Series, man, and get them put on one hell of a show for a third match, man. Which even throw a stipulation in there. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know you already got the War Games matches, which are going to be billed as the biggest matches on the card, but at the same time, throw a stipulation in there. I don't know, maybe even last man standing, something like that. I mean, with these guys, and let them go at it, man. Let them go to war, man, because it's been fun watching the build for this. When Brock Lesnar came out and just absolutely destroyed Bobby Lashley before he lost the U.S. title to Seth Rollins, man, that was epic. Because, like you said, nobody saw that coming, man. I know I didn't. I had no idea that was getting ready to happen, and it was pretty big. And right now it's still fresh, and it was big, man. And they could do something really special with this, and wrap this up in a very special way with two really big time, absolute just studs, man, in the ring. So just go ahead and do it the right way and get it done at Survivor Series.
Where can you see Bobby Lashley going into WrestleMania? Because I pretty much have a good chunk of WrestleMania's card already filled out, but I haven't really thought about where Bobby Lashley's going to fit in. I'm not sure where he's going to go, there's a couple of routes that they could go. But if you ask me, I mean, I don't know. Is he not going to fit on WrestleMania, or is Triple H? Because I reported on this yesterday on the LFU. Triple H is thinking about moving the Money in the Bank ladder match concept back to WrestleMania. Is Austin Theory going to put his Money in the Bank contract on the line at WrestleMania, and is Lashley going to be involved in the Money in the Bank ladder match for Austin Theory's Money in the Bank contract? And is that going to be Bobby Lashley's role at WrestleMania? Where else can you see him fitting in?
I mean, right about now, it's hard to tell. I mean, with Roman having both the titles, and I'm not sure if they ever have any plans on splitting those titles back up. It's tough to say, man, because I'm one of those people that really feel like Bobby Lashley should be very much in the world title picture, you know. And I just think that where he's at in his career, at this stage of his career, he should be more in the mix for that kind of thing with some of his accomplishments over the years. I mean, and he hasn't really had too many world title runs, and the last one kind of ended a little, you know, a little janky. So it's like, just let's I wanted to see him back in the mix, but I don't necessarily foresee him winning the Royal Rumble. That route, I could see the Money in the Bank thing, where maybe he's in that and wins that, and then he's like the holder of the Money in the Bank briefcase, and that puts him back into the mix for the world title. But it's like with Lashley right now, there's no real clear-cut path right now. It's hard to foreshadow what they have planned for him going forward, man, after this Brock Lesnar thing was resolved.
Well, after this Brock Lesnar thing's resolved, I was actually in this boat, and I kind of still am. I enjoy Lashley as the United States champion, but I'm kind of teetering into the boat of Bobby Lashley doesn't really need to be in a major program anymore, and she should be helping other people get over. So if anything, probably the best route for him would be probably to get the Hurt Business back together, because you could do some really, really good damage with the Hurt Business and Cedric and Shelton Benjamin teaming with Bobby Lashley. You get some great trios matches. I would actually go with that. I would probably bring back the Hurt Business, and I would feud the Hurt Business. If you want to, I'd feud the Hurt Business with the Judgment Day going into WrestleMania. Give me 6-man tag.
That could be interesting. I mean, a lot of different ways you can look at it. I never thought about it like that, but you're right. I mean, I can see him being, if he's willing to be that guy to help put young talent over, or Shelton Benjamin's not young talent, but you know, obviously still, you want to put some of the younger talent and some of the other guys that haven't been up in the spotlight too much, try to get some of these guys over, because that's one thing WWE is filled with a lot of good talent on that roster that it's time to start seeing a little bit more. So maybe you can get a guy like Lashley to help get some of these guys over.
So from there, we went into Asuka and Alexa Bliss versus Damage Control for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. Now, first things first, my stance on Damage Control has not changed, and we will talk about that in a little bit. Asuka has pretty much taken a back seat on AEW TV. And Alexa Bliss, she is just there. But I will say this, and I'm even going to give Alexa Bliss credit, because let me tell you something. I've been one of the biggest Alexa Bliss detractors in the IWC, and rightfully so, because 99.9% of the time, she absolutely fucking sucks. She does not belong in the ring. And she legitimately looks like she is coasting through everything. She's completely fucking lazy. But I will give every woman in this match credit. This match was a lot better than I could have expected. And in the end, for the 13 minutes that it went, these two women, these two teams of women, they delivered what was a pretty damn good tag team match. The titles mean nothing. The feud has been done to death, but it's been a long 3-4 months of this shit. But in the end, we got a pretty damn good tag team title match at the end of the day. Even Alexa Bliss brought it. This was the first time since her matches with Sasha Banks back in mid-2017 in which Alexa Bliss actually looked and felt like a professional wrestler. And you know what? I hope that this continues. I hope we see this on Monday. I hope we see this at Survivor Series. I hope we see this going forward. Because if we see this, then you know what? I'm not going to utter one fucking complaint about Alexa Bliss on TV. This is what we need. Alexa Bliss, she worked her fucking ass off, and everyone did. Everyone did at that in this match. Titles mean nothing. Damage control is pretty much worthless, but the match itself was very good at the end of the day. So I can't really complain about that. We got a very good tag team title match. So we had Asuka and Io having a nice back and forth. Crowd actually gave him a decent reaction, so props to the Saudi Arabian crowd. They were loud, they were lively all show. They did not light up all show. Even for Braun Strowman and Omos, they were lively. So the crowd gave him a pretty decent reaction. We had a bulldog down to the knees of Alexa Bliss by Asuka, by Io. Io then drop kicked. This was a great spot right here. So Asuka was on the middle rope, and Io, she delivered a springboard drop kick to Asuka off the rope, and Asuka hung herself in a tree of woe, which looked very, very nasty. So props to Asuka for taking that spot. So her knee was the main story of the match. Asuka's knee was the main selling point. Damage control isolated Asuka. We had a flapjack by Io. Asuka came back with a clothesline bulldog combo to both members of Damage Control. We had a tag to Alexa Bliss, and this is where I was actually mildly impressed with Alexa Bliss here. She delivered a stiff knee to Io, double drop kick, flipping senton on Dakota, and then a very nice-looking tornado DDT out of the corner. Dakota got spiked. That got a 2 count. We then had Io Sky saving the match. We had a butterfly backbreaker by Io to Bliss. Bliss then came back with a beautiful code red. A beautiful code red by Bliss. That got a 2. Bliss then went up top. Damage control followed. Asuka came in. We had a big Tower of Doom superplex combination. Everyone was down. Asuka then came in with a big missile drop kick. Kai kicked out. We had a barrage of strikes and a code breaker by Dakota Kai to Asuka. All of a sudden, we had a German suplex, and Dakota Kai kicked out. Tag to Bliss. We had knees up on the Twisted Bliss. She went for Twisted Bliss, but I believe it was Dakota Kai that got the knees up. Io Sky then went for a moonsault on Asuka, but she missed. We had a DDT by Alexa Bliss, but the referee was distracted because Io and Asuka were brawling in the ring. Out of nowhere, and this goes hand in hand with what happened on Monday because Bayley was talking to her in the back. Nikki Cross came in, swinging neck breaker off the top rope by Nikki Cross onto Bliss. So Io and Asuka then brawled to the outside. The referee saw that Dakota Kai was in the pin on Bliss. Shoulders were down, 1, 2, 3, and Kai wins the match for her team. Like I said, the match itself, very good. All 4 women brought it. But at the end of the day, all this did was show you that A, the women's tag team division sucks. The women's tag team titles are worthless. And Damage Control, 3, Damage Control should have never lost the titles on Monday. 4, Damage Control is pretty much dead at this point. And after what happened later on in the show with Bianca and Bayley, we'll talk about that a little bit later, it just further proves my point. I'm still trying to figure out why exactly Damage Control has been booked as poorly as they have. So Damage Control wins back the championships that they should have never fucking lost. All this was pretty much a political agenda to get a major title change on Crown Jewel because no other championship was changing hands. So they did this. Very good match. I take nothing away from anything that those 4 women did. Very good match, a hell of a lot better than I expected, and a match that I thought was going to probably be the worst match of the night, ended up turning out to be one of the better matches of the night, and all 4 women did a very good job. But at the end of the day, the women's tag team titles mean jack shit. They mean nothing. They mean absolutely nothing. Bliss and Asuka, they shouldn't even be a tag team. And Damage Control is pretty much just there. They're just there, and no one really gives a shit about them. And even if Nikki Cross is added to Damage Control and she's going to be in War Games, which I think is going to be a great move, because that's going to be a breakout moment for Nikki Cross, at the end of the day, what is it going to mean in the long run? It's really not going to mean anything. Even if they do get War Games, which I do believe that they will be on the winning team at War Games, Damage Control, it means nothing in the end. The best possible scenario would be for both of these two teams, Damage Control specifically, and then we're supposedly getting a rematch on Tuesday between Katana Chance, Caden Carter, Nikita Lyons, and Zoe Stark. Katana Chance and Caden Carter, they're the better of the duo. So I am going to have those two retain the titles on Tuesday, and then sometime next year, what I'm doing, I'm building this up to WrestleMania perhaps, maybe even before then. Fuck WrestleMania, do it at the Royal Rumble. I'm building a tag team title unification match at the Rumble between Katana Chance and Caden Carter and Damage Control, and I am having whoever wins, they win, they unify the titles, and then the titles are retired. Retire them. We do not need women's or NXT women's tag team titles. We need 2 singles women's titles, and we have that for Raw and the SmackDown Women's Championship, similar to how AEW has the AEW World Women's title and the TBS Championship. We need 2 singles championships, and we need undercard storylines. We do not need tag team matches or tag team titles because they do not do anyone any favors. Should have never been a thing. Like I said, dead is Damage Control. Dead is the women's tag team titles. But the match was very good. So, Matt, I'm going to throw it over to you. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The match was definitely a really good match, a lot of good spots. And just to keep piggybacking off of what you're saying about the women's tag team titles, I don't know if I feel I can't say I feel quite as strongly about it as you. At the same time, I just feel like they're being booked very, very poorly, you know. And if you're not going to book it better, then yeah, I agree. You need to just get rid of it for real, because it's just right now it's kind of a waste of time. Right now, you don't even hardly have any real legitimate tag teams. Alexa Bliss and Asuka, sure, like for instance yesterday, that they probably looked as good as they have looked in a tag team match together. I mean, they had something where it seemed like they were on the same page, but at the same time, they're not. Nobody's buying Alexa Bliss and Asuka as a real tag team. I mean, come on, let's face it. And neither one of them have even really hung their hats on being tag team performers. Both of them have enjoyed their most successful points of their career as single performers in the ring. You know what I mean? And I would rather see both of them get back to that. And it just, like you said, the women's tag team division, it's just, how many real women tag teams are there? Katana and Kaden are probably there. They're the first ones that come to mind, only ones. They've been legitimately been together for years now together, you know, so that's a real tag. I consider them a real tag team. But other than that, you don't have many everything else is just forced, put together. And this thing, like you said, like somebody said in the comments earlier, it makes no sense that you take the titles off of Damage Control on Monday just to put them right back on them again on Saturday in Saudi Arabia. It just, what was even the point of that? It goes to show what you've been talking about, how irrelevant the women's tag team titles are. I mean, you're making them more irrelevant when you do things like that, because there's nobody building them up in any kind of way. It's just, you just keep passing them around to all these random tag teams. I mean, I don't even know how many different tag teams. I mean, the women's tag teams haven't even been around that long, and they've been on so many different people already. It's just, enough is enough already, man. If you're going to do it and take it seriously, or like you said, just get rid of it, man. Because at the end of the day, they're not doing anything for the women's division right now whatsoever, man. Like they said, they made it seem like it was when Sasha and Naomi relinquished them when they quit, had the walkout moment, whatever. You made it seem like, oh, we're going to have the women's tag team tournament and for the titles, like it was going to be some kind of big thing. You were going to actually maybe try to really rebrand these things and build it up. And still just, that tournament was weak. That tournament was absolutely terrible. And then there was, I mean, I don't know. It's bad, like you said, but back to the match. As far as the match goes, it was a really, really good match. 4 really good athletes in the ring. I mean, they like you said, they put on a good show. And it's just a shame that it's at the point where that the women's tag team titles mean absolutely nothing and nobody cares. I mean, that's just what it comes down to.
Ever since
and
the Iconics won them, they were dead.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely agree with that. And EO and Dakota Kai, I mean, I don't know. It's just how believable are they as a tag team either? Like this is not.
They're fine. They're fine.
They're good.
It's them, Toxic Attraction, and Katana and Kaden. Those are the only 3 legit tag teams. 3 tag teams.
And it's just that I don't.
Toxic
Attraction. I don't know what's going on with them. I mean, as far as Gigi and JC,
they've been nothing but 2 women that look like OnlyFans models that decided to cosplay as pro wrestlers. Mandy Rose is the only good wrestler out of that group.
So yeah, they need to really reevaluate that whole situation and figure out what they're going to do. Like I said, they're going to continue on with them. They need to really start building up some legitimate female tag teams, even if that means, I mean, digging into the NXT ranks or the whatever, the Performance Center, and getting and legitimately bringing up women as a tag team. Stop just putting these girls together, man. You're just putting random girls together and trying to make us believe that there's some kind of good team that should be champions. It's rough, man. And then the Nikki Cross thing, I'm still a little confused. I don't know 100% what the angle is. Is she going to kind of join Damage Control, be a part of War Games with them? But like I said, she's also has attacked Bayley also along this since she's made this surprise comeback and returned to her old Nikki Cross self that I used to love anyway.
That Nikki Cross should have always been the Nikki Cross that we've gotten on the main roster. That's not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I just don't know what the angle is, what the angle is, but she came out there, she right when Alexa Bliss is ready to put I guess Dakota Kai, one of the Damage Control girls away and retain the title. Nikki Cross got herself involved and cost Alexa and Asuka the titles. So we're just curious to see what they're doing going forward with her, man, because I really do love this version of Nikki Cross. Like you said, never should have went away, and I'm glad she's back.
So from there, we went into one of the best matches of the night, actually. Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross steel cage match. I don't understand why people were harping on Kross, and people were kind of blaming Kross for the fact that he's not connecting with the main roster audience. Meanwhile, they're not taking into consideration 2 things. And I already talked about this on the rundown for Crown Jewel with Mitch Kovsky. Number 1, Karrion Kross has been on the main roster for 3 months. 3 months. Not everyone is going to come in and make an immediate impact as if it's CM Punk. Karrion Kross is not a CM Punk. He's not going to come in and make an immediate impact just like Punk did in AEW. No. Number 2, and this is the biggest factor. People are not stupid. People are not stupid, and people do not forget. Karrion Kross is fighting an uphill battle because Karrion Kross, he was castrated when he was first brought up to the main roster under Vince and Bruce. People do not forget. People did not forget about what they did to him the night after Money in the Bank. They called this man up legitimately a month after he beat Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, Pete Dunne, and Johnny Gargano all in the same match. They called him up after he beat all 4 of those men in the same match, and they had him lose to Jeff Hardy in 90 seconds. Might I remind you that he was still the NXT champion at the time. Then, a month later, you know what they did? They put him in a medieval Hatchet Man costume. I didn't know if I was watching pro wrestling or if I was taking a trip down to medieval times about 30 minutes away from me. He looked terrible. Then they fired him. They absolutely ruined him. Triple H did everything that he could to make that guy a star. That guy was the top star in NXT, and what did they do to him? They castrated him. Cut off his balls, cut off his testicles, and threw him into the abyss. Terrible. Now he's back. He's in this feud with Drew, and he's fighting an uphill battle because he was probably one of the worst NXT burials that Vince and Bruce have ever done. People are not taking that into consideration, and they're just shitting all over Cross because the strap match lasted only 10 and a half minutes. It wasn't a bad match. It was a very solid match. It just ended too quickly. Triple H made that mistake. You can't blame that on Cross. Cross and Drew were doing very well at Extreme Rules. The intensity was there. Everything was going fine. The problem was it just wasn't long enough. I said that if it got another 4 or 5 more minutes, that it would have been great. And you know what happened? Triple H obviously has been listening to me, and look at what we got. This match went longer than the strap match, and what happened? These two put on a great steel cage match. In a day and age where everything's already been done, the steel cage match worked in this scenario. And Drew and Cross delivered one of the best matches of the night. This was great. From start to finish, everything flowed nicely. I don't have one complaint about this match. So, Drew went right on the attack early on, but Cross came back and hit Drew with an exploder suplex. The crowd, again, shout out to the Saudi Arabian crowd. The crowd was great. Drew McIntyre was super over in Saudi Arabia as a babyface. They were raining down boos on Cross, and he was just soaking it in. So that was great to see. So they were heavily booing Cross. He sent Drew headfirst into the cage and then began to wear Drew down. Drew then mounted a comeback. He hit a lariat, big overhead belly to belly. He then sent Cross into the cage and then delivered a jumping neck breaker. He kicked up. The crowd was getting hyped. He hit a beautiful Meishinuku driver on Karrion Kross. That got it too. Both men were on the top. Drew was then caught in a tree of woe. Drew McIntyre then, he hyped himself up and he pulled himself up. Great core strength, threw Kross off the top rope. Drew, then he went for the Claymore. Karrion Kross, this was great right here. Karrion Kross pulled out a running knee, a Bryan Danielson Busaiku knee, which connected beautifully on Drew McIntyre, and Drew kicked out. Kross was then sent into the cage. Drew McIntyre delivered a great spine buster. Kross kicked out. Kross then locked in the cross jacket. Drew then reversed it into a cross jacket of his own. Scarlett was watching from afar. Kross got out of the cross jacket by McIntyre. Kross hit a Doomsday Saito. Kross went for the cross hammer. Drew McIntyre reversed it into the Future Shock DDT. Scarlett caused a distraction on the outside. Kross with the cross jacket. Drew broke free. Kross hit the cross hammer right to Drew McIntyre's neck. Kross was just soaking it in. Kross then began to climb the cage. He was almost over the top. Drew McIntyre stopped him. This was one of the best spots of the entire night. Drew McIntyre delivered a superplex from the top of the cage. Both men splattered to the floor. The referee opened the door. Drew crawled. Scarlett then sprayed mace into Drew McIntyre's eyes and into the official's eyes. Kross then crawled for the door. Drew McIntyre caught Kross in an ankle lock, and this was such a great visual. Kross, he felt like he had the match won, and Drew McIntyre grabbed Kross's foot, and Kross's facial expression, he had this shocked look like, are you fucking kidding me? This guy's coming after me after he just got mace sprayed in his eye. Great facial reaction from Kross. He then dragged McIntyre into the ring. So Drew, with mace still in his eyes, delivered a Claymore to Karrion Kross. This was great. Scarlett then closed the door. locked the door, dangled the key in front of Drew McIntyre. Drew then said, all right, fuck this, I'll just climb the cage. He climbed the cage. Scarlett then realized, oh shit, I just fucked up. So she unlocked the door, cross-crawled for the door. Drew climbed out of the cage. Both feet hit the floor, and Drew McIntyre gets the win. This was excellent. This was excellent. The pacing was great. The wrestling was great. The storytelling was great. The crowd. And overall, the outcome was brilliantly booked. Scarlett fucked over Cross in the end. Scarlett inadvertently fucked over her man because she thought she outsmarted Drew McIntyre by locking the cage. In reality, Drew McIntyre said, all right, you want to lock the cage door? Screw it. I'll just climb up over the top. It's exactly what Drew did. And above all else, Drew McIntyre won in the correct way. He did not pin Cross. Drew McIntyre escaped the cage. Cross was never beaten. So that is going to be a bridge to continue this storyline going into Survivor Series, in which Cross is going to get the final victory and he's going to finally end this feud. This was great. No complaints about this whatsoever, and we're going to get a third match out of it. Mac, let me hear it.
Yeah, once again, man, this was definitely one of my favorites of the night, man. This match was awesome. I'm a big fan of both of these guys. I think when Cross came back, this is the perfect guy to come back and start a feud with was Drew McIntyre. That was just something that you can get total full intensity with. A guy that definitely brings it. These both of them and just to go back to when you were talking about how Karrion Kross was castrated by the previous administration, man. One other thing they did when they brought him up from NXT, man, they also took Scarlett away from him, and it was like that. They go hand in hand. You know what I mean? That just didn't even make sense to me. It's the thing. It's a package deal with those guys, with those two. So they screwed that whole situation up. And Cross could be right now. If none of that ever happened, Cross could be an absolute megastar in this company right now, and they just screwed him up. Like you said, he has to come back and kind of start over again. So I think people just need to be a little more patient because this guy definitely delivers in the ring, man. I can go back to even in NXT with the epic match with him and Keith Lee, man, for that title, man. Those are kind of matches you're gonna get with a guy like Karrion Kross, man. He's gonna absolutely bring it, man. So fans need to be a little more patient and wait it out because Kross I think he's a special talent. I think he can be a special talent, man, and just gotta let things develop, man. Because I thought initially when he came back that they were just going to thrust him immediately into the title picture. First, initially, I thought that's what they were going to do, but they made the right move. Him focusing on the rivalry with Drew McIntyre was definitely the right move. You got to build his character back up, build his character up. And I love it, man. I love everything about him, and I love their ring entrance, just the whole aura of him and Scarlett, man. I just love it. And like you said, Scarlett got outsmarted at the end, man. She's been so like big with a lot of what's been going on with this rivalry so far, obviously with her involvement and pretty much every step of the way. But this time she got outsmarted, man, and it was enjoyable to watch. And like you said, it was the right way for Drew to win, like you said, to bridge the gap to the next match going forward, which I would also assume, once again, is going to be a Survivor Series, I would assume. I don't know why else it wouldn't be. And also expect a stipulation on that match. Don't know what it could be. It could be, anything with these guys at this point, man. But I just look forward to it because this has been fun. I've been enjoying Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross.
If anything, the Brock Lesnar-Bobby Lashley match doesn't need the stipulation. That doesn't need the stipulation. Yeah. This match would need a stipulation. So if anything,
I agree.
I'm booking this match as a last man standing match because Drew already took a pin at Clash at the Castle against Roman Reigns. Drew already took a pin at Extreme Rules against Karrion Kross. If you want to protect both men, book the last man standing match, and Drew McIntyre, he can be beaten without the use of a pinfall. And Karrion Kross can get the win, and then we move on to the Rumble. What do you do with Drew, and what do you do with Karrion Kross? Well, you could do multiple things. You could potentially put Drew McIntyre in an Intercontinental Championship feud with Gunther going into the Rumble or the Elimination Chamber. Now, that's not going to be at WrestleMania because I do believe that we will inevitably see Sheamus beat Gunther for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. That's what I see. What do you do with Cross? Well, you have Cross beat Drew. Cross can get a few more wins. Cross is built up towards the Rumble. Cross is in the Rumble. You know who he eliminates? He eliminates Brock Lesnar. We build towards WrestleMania as an undercard feud. You want to get the most usage out of Brock Lesnar? Give me Brock Lesnar versus Karrion Kross and have Karrion Kross beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. That is the best possible usage of those two individuals. I don't know what Drew does at WrestleMania. Maybe he gets put in the Money in the Bank ladder match as well. But at the end of the day, when it comes to Kross, the top priority for Kross here is going to be Kross versus Brock Lesnar, with Karrion Kross being the guy to beat the Beast potentially and send them off for good. Because after this current deal, I don't see Brock Lesnar resigning. I don't. So at the end of the day, Kross and Lesnar, that is the best possible route to go. Last man standing match between Drew and Kross at Survivor Series, with Kross winning. We build towards the Rumble. Kross eliminates Brock. And then here's what we can do. Cody's going to win the Rumble. If you want to do an Elimination Chamber match with Roman Reigns in there, you could do a lot of good things with Roman Reigns in the Elimination Chamber defending the world title, and then the winner faces Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. You could have Roman, you could have Drew, you could have Sheamus, you could have Nakamura, you could have Kross, and then you could potentially have a sixth guy in there, whoever that may be. I don't know, maybe Ricochet. Maybe you can give Ricochet an opportunity. He's a good guy that you could put in that scenario. Kross is dominating that match, and after he eliminates one or two people, when the door is open, you have Lesnar run in, and you have Lesnar fuck over Kross in the Elimination Chamber, and that starts the build towards Lesnar and Kross at WrestleMania. Kross eliminates Lesnar at the Rumble, and Lesnar fucks over Kross in the Chamber. That is perfect storytelling right there. That's how you go. That's what I would do.
I mean, I'd be on board for that. Definitely, for sure, man. That would be awesome. So, I mean, hope they're listening. Hope WWE creative team's listening.
Oh, people are watching us. People are watching. You already know. But from there, great steel cage match. We go into the OC versus the Judgment Day. This is AJ Styles, Carl Anderson, and Daddy Dangly, Doc Gallows versus Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor, and Mr. Damian Priest. It was a very fun match. Very fun match between these two teams. Nothing over the top. Nothing crazy. But I have a feeling that they're trying not to give away too much, because the Survivor Series is going to be the one true end to this program. And we're going to get the OC and a female versus the entirety of the Judgment Day, which reportedly could be Raquel Rodriguez. And that would definitely help her, because her and Rhea, they're real life best friends. So you could play that up. And they had some damn good matches in NXT. So I would be totally on board for that. But this match was very fun. Very fun stuff between these two. Nothing over the top, nothing crazy, but it was fun. So the OC was in control. Quick tags, in and out, some intense moves. Dominic was then isolated. Tag after tag. Styles hit a brain buster on Dominic. Priest then came in with a super kick on Anderson to take over. Anderson was isolated. He tried to fight back. Balor then tagged in. Priest then tagged in. Anderson with a leaping neck breaker on Priest and a beautiful spine buster to follow. Anderson right now has one of the best spine busters in the game. It's Anderson and Powerhouse Hobbs that have the two best spine busters in the game right now. So Luke Gallows then came in. Michael Cole also mentioned that Carl Anderson is the never open weight champion. So nice little tidbit being thrown out there. It is certainly a new regime. So Luke Gallows came in. He lit up both men. Wicked lariat to Dominic. Beautiful flying shoulder tackle and a pump handle slam. Magic Killer was about to be hit before Damian Priest saved Dominic. We had a small package on Anderson for a 2. Tag to Balor and a tag to Styles. Styles lit up all three members of the Judgment Day. Lariat to Balor. wheelbarrow face buster to Priest, sliding knee to Dominic, and an Ushi-Goroshi on Balor. Balor then locked in a figure 4 leg lock, Gallows with the Gallows pole on Dominic. Priest then took out Gallows. We had a Pele kick on Priest, Eye of the Hurricane by Balor for 2. We had Carl Anderson and Dominic Mysterio on the shoulders of Priest and Gallows. We had a superplex by Styles to Balor as Priest and Gallows both dropped their opponents into electric chairs respectfully. Everyone was down. Rhea then behind the referee's back dropped Styles headfirst on the apron. Balor then took advantage of this with a shotgun dropkick and a coup de grace, and the Judgment Day gets the win here over the OC. Now, I was expecting the OC to win this, mainly because of the fact that the Judgment Day has been as dominant as all hell. They've been kicking some ass. They've been kicking everyone's ass all over Raw, which I have no problem with. But I thought the OC were going to get the win considering this was their first major match back as a trio. But in the end, I can't really shit on the Judgment Day winning this because, I mean, when you look at Balor, when you look at Rhea, when you look at Priest, when you look at Dominic, I see 4 individuals who were absolutely booked like jack shit under Vince and Bruce, and now they're finally getting the opportunity to showcase to everyone just how good they are, and they're winning matches consistently, and they're winning big matches. I mean, that's only going to boost their credibility tenfold. So I can't shit on this. I cannot really shit on this whatsoever. I have no problem with the Judgment Day walking out victorious here. I had the OC, but I'm not mad about the Judgment Day winning because I do believe that the ultimate revenge is going to come at Survivor Series. And we will indeed get a female presence being inserted into the OC for one night only to take on the Judgment Day and Rhea Ripley. And then Rhea and Raquel, who I do believe now, are going to go into a little mini feud on Raw going into the next couple of weeks and into the Rumble. And I do believe that Rhea will inevitably win the Royal Rumble. And we'll talk about who she's going to face when we get to the women's title match later on in the show. But it was a basic trios match, but I did not have a problem with it whatsoever. It was fun. It was not must-see, but it was fun. And in the end, Judgment Day continue to win, and they continue to look strong. So I can't really complain about that either. What you got for me, Mac?
Yeah, man, it was an enjoyable match. I agree. Like I said, not necessarily match of the night status, but it was a enjoyable match. I mean, and let's just face it, Judgment Day is exactly what the doctor ordered for Dominic Mysterio, man. That dude was absolutely spinning his wheels his entire tenure. I feel like it was a mistake anyway. They brought him immediately onto the main roster and tried to put him in storylines with his dad and this, that, and the other. And let's face it, that he wasn't ready for that. He wasn't quite ready for that. And now this is kind of it brings him back to a situation where he can develop properly. He's in his good faction, good, strong faction, clearly the weakest member of the faction. But at the same time, he's doing his best work that he's done in WWE. By far, not even close. And I also thought the OC was going to win this match because I just thought basically with the build so far, like you said, it's their first big major match as a trio back together. And the way they've been on the losing end of this build so far. I mean, they've been taking some L's on Raw. So I just thought maybe that this week was going to be the week. This match was going to be the match where they finally got a little redemption. Not by no means am I upset with it either because, like you said, it's going to keep going. They're going to introduce a woman to help counter the Rhea Ripley effect, who has been a major issue with these guys right now. She's totally the X Factor. She's in there mixing it up with the guys. I mean, like when she body slammed Gallows a couple weeks ago on Raw, that was impressive as hell, man. I mean, Rhea Ripley, I mean, yeah, sure, she's no little small woman, but at the same time, she's still a woman. She's still a lady, you know what I mean? And Gallows is a big guy. Yeah, so that was awesome. I thought it was
great in this China role. She's done great.
it was so cool to see, man. And like you said, I hope you're absolutely right that it's Raquel Rodriguez, man, because that is the one. That's the lady who can really mix it up with Rhea Ripley. Like you said, they delivered on great matches in the past, and it will be great to see that rivalry renewed. I want to see Raquel get into some more relevant rivalries. I don't want to see her be Aaliyah's tag team partner. I don't want to see stuff like that anymore. I want to see her get back to a more prominent role in the women's division, and that is the best way to do it, man. To kind of be that lady enforcer for the OC, even if it is only for one night only, and jumpstart another rivalry with Rhea Ripley, because that would be awesome. So I hope you're 100% right on that. I hope they don't kind of throw some other girl in there that just won't be able to deliver.
It could be Beth Phoenix. I mean, that would make sense too.
I mean, it could be. Well, yeah, especially if it's only going to be like a one-night thing anyway. I could see that Beth Phoenix
Maybe we get Edge. Maybe we get Edge and Beth Phoenix versus Rhea Ripley and Finn Balor at the Rumble.
That's a possibility. I thought that was going to happen. I thought that's what was going to happen anyway already, but then they kind of played it out where they, spinning it where they took out Beth Phoenix. So we'll see how that goes. It's a number of things they could do, but I would really love to see the Raquel Rodriguez thing. I think you nailed it, absolutely nailed it with that assessment, man. And if that comes to fruition, that'll be a good thing for wrestling fans, man, because that'll be awesome to see. And it'll be big for the women's division because they need something big time to jump to give it that spark again, because it's starting to get a little stagnant again. Once again, the women's division, they still don't seem to have no real clear direction with what they really want to do. So I would love to see something like that build this division back up.
We'll see what happens there, but we move on from that, and the show was flowing very nicely, and the show continued to flow nicely even after this match. It was Braun Strowman versus the Nigerian Great Khali, the Nigerian Giant Gonzalez Omos. Crowd was actually lively for this match. So I will say this. Once again, I will give my props to the Saudi Arabian crowd. This was easily the worst match of the night. This was easily the most skippable match of the night. But I will say this. This was like the women's tag team title match. A lot better than I expected. Now, that doesn't mean that it was a good match. That doesn't mean it was a great match. But at the end of the day, these two, they went in there. They put on the most tolerable match possible. They didn't try and do things that shouldn't have been done. They didn't go in there and they didn't do some stupid shit. Braun Strowman did some stupid shit this morning, which we'll talk about on the LFU. Braun Strowman, like a complete fucking dumbass this morning on Twitter, tried to be cool and troll everyone, which, by the way, Braun Strowman's never going to learn. But Omos and Braun Strowman, for what we got, it was probably, now this is not saying much at all, but it was probably the best Omos match that we've gotten. It was this match and the match with Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania Backlash. I wouldn't even say that best is the right word to describe it. I would probably say tolerable. This was probably the most tolerable Omos match that we've seen. And I will say this. Braun Strowman, we will talk about how much of a fucking retard Braun Strowman is on the LFU. But ever since Braun Strowman's been back, he's not been doing bad for himself at all. I will say that. Braun Strowman has not been doing too bad for himself whatsoever. He's not been overexposed. He hasn't been forced down everyone's throats. He's not wrestling every week. And he's gotten a little better in the ring. He's gotten a little better on the mic. He got himself into great physical shape. He put on 2 very entertaining matches with Otis and Chad Gable. So at the end of the day, if this is what we're going to get from Braun Strowman, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. He's not bringing WWE TV down at all. Matter of fact, it's Omos that's bringing WWE TV down. I don't know why the fuck he's employed. I understand Triple H is a kind individual and he doesn't want to just let everyone go, but I mean, come on. Omos is a lost cause. He will go nowhere in this business. Omos sucks. Omos sucks. But the match itself was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And they did not ruin the flow of the show at all. They did not ruin the flow of the show at all, which I cannot complain about. So Omos, he wanted to test his strength with Braun Strowman. We got it. Omos with a knee to the gut. Omos then whipped Strowman into the buckle, and then he hit a big boot to Braun Strowman, and then a kick to the gut. This is where I will give Omos just a little bit of credit, because I'm a fair individual. Omos body slammed Braun Strowman not once, but twice. And he did it perfectly. And he didn't struggle. He didn't fumble. He held him there. He held him there. And Braun Strowman is no small guy. Outside of Omos, Braun Strowman's probably the tallest guy on the roster. And Omos body slammed him with ease. So you know what? I will say that was actually pretty impressive. Because we've seen Brock Lesnar struggle to keep Omos up. We saw Brock Lesnar struggle to keep Braun Strowman up. He F5'd Braun Strowman a couple times a couple years ago, and it looked more like an attitude adjustment rather than an F5. So I will give my props to Omos there. He body slammed Braun Strowman not once but twice. Omos then hit clubbing blows to the face of Braun Strowman, and then he bealed Braun Strowman, and Braun got a decent amount of air. Strowman then with some right hands to the face. Omos didn't go down. Omos was then clotheslined over the top rope. Braun didn't get him on the first time, but he got him on the second time. Strowman then went for the Strowman Express, but Omos clobbered him with a running body block, and Michael Cole said Michael Cole was the most entertaining part of this match. Michael Cole said the Strowman Express got derailed, it's corny, it's predictable, but I love Michael Cole for that. Michael Cole has really stepped up his game on commentary, I will say that. Back in the ring, Braun powered out of the double choke bomb, and Braun Strowman delivered a very crisp running power slam, and that was it. Braun Strowman got the win. And Braun Strowman wins with one power slam, and that was it. Good. Now let's get Omos off of TV. All this did was show you, and Triple H told you without actually telling you, that Omos is worthless. There is absolutely no coming back for Omos from this. Omos dominated the majority of this match, and all it took was one power slam, and Braun Strowman won. And you know what? I'm glad that that's all it took. I'm glad that they buried Omos in the way that they did, because he is worthless. He is worthless. Where does Braun Strowman go from here? I have an idea. And it's probably the best idea for Braun Strowman. But we will talk about that in a minute. Omos sucks, and we're going to talk about where Braun Strowman goes. But first things first, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Mac. So, Mac, what say you?
Well, you said it all, man. Like I said, this was definitely the match that I could definitely have done without on the card yesterday. And like you said, it wasn't completely horrible, but it nothing great about it. I'm not going to write nothing to write home about. Not going to have any memories of this match. Like you said, probably is one of Omos's probably his better performances in the ring. But I agree with you. Omos has no place in the ring in this. I just don't. I'm not buying it. I can't. He's clunky. He's just big and awkward, and I've never been a fan. I can't get on board with it. Like, I could be okay if he was like just some kind of big enforcer for someone else, like how he was with AJ Styles. He was like that enforcer guy. But then once you started putting him in the ring, it's just not. He's just not good enough, man. I don't know how the way to put it. He's just not good enough, and it's just not entertaining to me. It's not that very entertaining watching him. So I this match, like I said, it was okay, but it's nothing. Okay for what it was. Okay, all things considered, and the crowd was great. But I think in the defense, the crowd, I think over there, that Saudi Arabia crowd, they kind of probably just like to see big guys in the ring anyway, mixing it up. So It was just a lot of body slams, and the fact that it took the one big power slam to end Omos, like you said, that says it all. That you can't, nobody's gonna take you seriously if you're going out with just a power with the one. I mean, granted, it was by Braun Strowman, and that's how he finishes most of his guys off. But most of the guys Braun Strowman goes against are, much smaller,
He's been
less.
winning matches with a powerbomb recently as well. Now, I'm not sure if he could have gotten that on Omos, but you know.
A lot less imposing guys. I mean, it's rare that you see Braun Strowman in a match where he's the little guy, so to speak, in the match. that was kind of fun. That was one thing that was kind of fun to watch. You don't see very many Braun Strowman matches where he's looking up at his opponent and kind of he's the one that's being like he's the small, like I said, the small guy, so to speak, in the match. So I mean, that's the one thing I take from the match that was kind of fun to me, But other than that, yeah, I could do, if I don't see Omos in another match ever, I'm totally good with it, man. Totally.
I hope that this will be the last time that we see Omos on TV. There's no way that Omos can show his face on TV after this anyway. Now,
Yeah, I agree.
where does Braun go? Where does Braun go? I don't know where he goes following the Rumble. I do believe he will be in the Rumble, but before the Rumble, here's what I want to see. December, it doesn't look like there's any pay-per-views minus NXT Deadline in December, but the main roster has no pay-per-views. So you know what I'm doing? I am looking down the barrel of making Raw and SmackDown pretty decent in the month of December, even though no one really gives a shit about wrestling in the month of December. What I'm looking to do is I'm looking to put Braun Strowman in a match that's going to be hard-hitting, and that's going to be very fun for the crowd in general to watch. Braun Strowman hasn't been beaten. He's been undefeated. He's beaten a couple jobbers. He's beaten Omos. He's beaten Gable. He's beaten Otis. Give him another match or two. Get him one more or two more wins under his belt. And then what I'm looking to do, I am looking down the barrel of Braun Strowman versus Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. You want to build up Gunther and you want a real big, genuine big man hoss fight? I think that match could really turn a lot of heads. That's actually one of probably the two matches that I'm genuinely, maybe three. It's Gunther, Cross, and Sheamus that I'm genuinely interested in seeing Braun Strowman fight. Outside of that, I don't really give a shit. But Gunther is the most intriguing match out of all of them. With the way that Gunther operates and how well Gunther's been operating right now, I am absolutely looking towards the future of a potential Gunther versus Braun Strowman match. Now, that's a match that you could potentially save for the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania, but if you're asking me, I don't necessarily think that they are going to wait that long. I think both Gunther and Braun Strowman are going to be in the Rumble. Maybe we see a new individual emerge as a potential challenger for Gunther in the Rumble, but in the end, sometime next month, I'm looking down the barrel of a Braun Strowman and Gunther match for the IC title. And you could do a lot of good things with that. You can have Braun Strowman, he can beat Ludwig Kaiser, he can beat Giovanni Vinci. See what you can do with that. Give him a couple wins over those two guys, and then have Gunther ultimately destroy him. What Gunther is doing with the IC title is a great thing. Gunther right now is the best IC champion we've had since Seth Rollins in 2018. He's doing some really, really great work with the Intercontinental Championship, and I'm very pleased to see where he's going. So if you're asking me, you want to add onto Gunther's resume and continue to build him up, give me a match with Braun Strowman. Matter of fact, if you want to, supposedly the SmackDown World Cup is starting next Friday. So if Braun wins that, you could potentially use that. You could potentially use that to build towards a future Intercontinental Championship match with Gunther. Then Braun would have a legit reason. So I got no problem with a potential Braun Strowman versus Gunther match. That's where I'm looking at. That's a match for next month that I think a lot of people would be intrigued by. Mac, I saw your facial reaction when I initially mentioned it. I think you're pretty intrigued by that.
I mean, that would be, yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, I wish I could see these ideas the way you do, man. That would be absolutely amazing, man. I also wouldn't be opposed to just throwing Sheamus in the mix, and even if it comes down to like a triple threat type of thing with those guys, man. That would be just an old fashioned, like Jim Ross, man, would say, slobber knocker. You know, I mean, because I enjoyed the Sheamus and Gunther program, like while they were doing their thing, man. And I know Sheamus has been on TV for a good bit, obviously getting married and everything. But
the fella got married.
Yeah, getting and so I would totally be on board with Gunther and Braun Strowman. Like I said, and if you did want to throw Sheamus in the mix too, and just to spice things up a little bit more, that it would just be, you talking about some good hard hitting stuff, man. You're talking about a banger. That could be an absolute banger. It could be match of the year type stuff right there, man. So I'd totally be on board with that. Gunther, Braun Strowman, though, man, that would be so hard hitting, man. Those chops versus the Gunther chops, the Braun Strowman, everything he does is power. There's nothing finesse about either one of these guys, man. So it would just be fun to watch, man. See these two big behemoths mixing it up, man. It would be awesome, man.
I think a lot of people would be on board with that. But Braun wins as he should, and Omos, goodbye.
Yeah.
From there, speaking of Sheamus, Sheamus's boys, this is Butch and Ridge Holland, Ridge the Fridge, versus Jimmy and Jay Uso for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. Before we get into this match, Mac, I got a very important question for you. Are you feeling Usi today?
I mean, I'm feeling quite Usi today, man.
Here's what I want. Everyone in the chat right now, let me know. Are you feeling Usi? I want to know how many people in this chat. We got Hula Grim, we got Big Boy Johnny, we got Didi, we got Denya, we got Peanuts. I want to see who's feeling Usi. Because here on the DJ Storms brand, brought to you by DJ Storms Productions, we only accept people of the utmost Usi. Just want to let you know. But this match was awesome. Nice little 11-minute sprint. This was all action, no rest period. All action, just boom, 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 boom. And these two teams, they did a very good job. One thing I loved about this match was the ending, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But the Brawling Brutes were in control early on. The Usos then took over. The crowd was chanting, "We want Sammy." And Jay said, "You ain't getting Sammy." So I thought that was very, very funny. We got Earl in the chat. Earl telling us that he's feeling very, very, very Usi today. So shout out to Earl. So Jay Uso screamed at the Saudi Arabian crowd, "You ain't getting Sammy." I laughed. Butch then came in with a tornado DDT to Jay. Tag to Ridge. We had a flying shoulder tackle and some clotheslines in the corner. A double back body drop by Ridge. Shout out to Ridge Holland. Ridge Holland, he's really come into his own. Really come into it. Raging Girl Gamer, who, by the way, Raging Girl Gamer is going to be on my show on November 22nd for the Rundown for Survivor Series. Raging Girl Gamer, you missed the $1 million question here. Raging Girl Gamer, are you feeling Usi today? I want to know, how Usi are you feeling? Anyway, back to the match. So shout out to Ridge Holland. Ridge Holland has really come into his own, and he's gotten better in the ring. He's really morphed into a really solid babyface, and the Brawling Brutes, they've done a pretty good job for themselves. So shout out to the Brawling Brutes. So Butch stomped on Jimmy's arm on the steps. Obviously, they are paying them back for what they did to Sheamus. Jay then got caught with a spinning side slam for a 2. Moonsault by Butch out of the corner. That got a 2. Double super kicks by the Usos. Enziguri by Butch. Super kick by Jay. Jimmy with the Uso splash, but Butch caught him in a triangle choke. Tag to Jay. Super kick to Butch. Double splash. But Ridge saved the match. The crowd started chanting, Usi, Usi. Butch then snapped the fingers of Jey Uso. Ridge then hit a white noise in tribute to Sheamus. Jey kicked out. Jimmy was then taken out. We had an Enziguri and Northern Grit combination. Jimmy just barely saved the match. We then had double super kicks to Ridge, tag to Jimmy. Butch didn't see it. Jey had Butch on the top. They delivered a super 1D, off the middle rope, one and done, and the Usos retain the tag team titles. This was a great bridge to what we're going to get at War Games, and I do believe that we will be getting Usos, Solo, Sammy, and Roman versus the Brawling Brutes and the New Day, because the Usos are now going to be facing the New Day this Friday on SmackDown, and if the Usos win, they will break the record. Another thing, Triple H. Shout out to Triple H, because Triple H has turned a non-existent, dead tag team division into a flourishing plantation of bangers. Love it. A flourishing plantation of bangers. And let me tell you something. The Brawling Brutes and Sheamus, they're not fucking lying. Banger after banger after banger after banger. All they do is put on bangers. And that's what I love about them. Awesome stuff. Triple H has revived the tag team division, and the Usos, major win. Great stuff. And another really good match on the Saudi Arabian show. So, tag team championships and tag team wrestling, it's alive and well. Mac, let me hear it. Let me know. How Uzi was this match?
This match was awesome, man. It was really, really awesome, man. And you took words out of my mouth about Ridge Holland, man. This guy is starting to just get better and better. The development he's had some unfortunate accidents along the way so far through his tenure in WWE. You know, he's been injured himself, you know, and as well as, you know, obviously we know what happened with the Big E situation. Shout out Big E, he's back on his feet. I mean, he's still a long way from being back in the ring, obviously, but he's back on his feet again, and that's good to see. But, yeah, Ridge Holland, man, he's starting to really catch up to, I feel like, because, you know, obviously we know Sheamus, his resume is Sheamus, and Butch, to be quite frank, formerly known as Pete Dunne, built a strong resume for himself as well, obviously, over the years. So Ridge Holland kind of was, you know, more the, like, you know, the newer, almost like the Dominic of their group, kind of, you know, in a sense. But he needed some development, but he's really come a long way. He's getting much better every match. Like you said, delivering big bangers, man. And this kind of face turn they've taken now, it's working. At first I was thinking, like, these guys shouldn't be faces, man. Doesn't seem like that's their personality, but they're making it work, man. And it's been pretty awesome to see, man, the transition. And like you said, it's helping to elevate this tag team division, man. They just added yet again another formidable tag team to this division now. And at this point, I don't know who's going to ultimately take the titles off the Usos, whether it'll be New Day on Friday night, whether it'll be somebody else down the line.
I do.
But
I do. Sammy and Owens at WrestleMania.
Sammy and Owens at WrestleMania. I mean, that's what I keep hearing. You know, eventually, ultimately, I also do feel like Sami Zayn ultimately is going to have a dismissal from unceremonious dismissal from the bloodline eventually, and I can see that, definitely see that happen to him and KO. Going out there and taking the Usos out, and if it's not till WrestleMania, I'm with that, man. Build that storyline up. But yeah, this match here, man, it was a lot of good spots in this match. The Usos at the one point did a little double, both of them coming off the top rope at the same time, one going high, one going low. I mean, it was just a lot of good spots in this match. A lot of excitement, high energy, man. These guys brought it from bell to bell, man. So definitely no complaints about this match whatsoever. One of the absolute best matches on the card, and it was fun to watch, man.
So from there, we go into, many people could argue it was probably in the top 3 best matches of the night. It was Bayley and Bianca, last woman standing match for the Raw Women's Championship. This was a very good last woman standing match. And Bayley and Bianca, they are incapable of having a bad match. The outcome, though, I was not too pleased with. The ending was great, but the outcome was, I don't know. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the match itself, very good. So Bianca went on the attack with some body slams to Bayley. She controlled the pace. Bayley then brought in a chair. Bianca drop-kicked the chair into Bayley, and then Bayley then brought in a ladder. The ladder didn't come into play until later on in the match. So Bianca then brought the steel steps in. Bayley delivered a suplex to Bianca on the floor. She sat Bianca on the chair that she set up on the ringside area, and she ran along the barricade, dove over the barricade with a diving clothesline. Bayley then set up a table. Bianca then with a vertical suplex to Bayley on the stage. Bayley then looked like she tweaked her knee. She was playing possum. A great sell job by Bayley right there. Great work. Back in the ring, Bianca threw a chair at Bayley's face. Bayley then wedged Bianca in between the steps and then trapped her under a ladder and the steel steps. So these two women getting a little creative, which I appreciate. So Belair got out. Belair then tried to throw the steps at Bayley, but she moved. She then delivered a spine buster to Bayley on the steps. Bayley then got up, tried running away. Belair then followed Bayley up the ramp. Bayley then got whipped with the kendo stick. She answered back with a Bayley to belly on the stage. Both women then got up. Bayley, again, getting creative. Bayley then trapped Bianca in a production crate, which was ingenious. Smart move. She trapped Bianca in a production crate. Bianca bursted out of this with the lid going right into Bayley's face. So that was probably the comedy spot of the match, which I actually thought was actually very, very, very funny. So Bianca got out of the production crate. She tried for the KOD. Bayley locked into the LaBelle lock. So she channeled her inner Bryan Danielson on Bianca. Bianca faded. Bayley said, fuck this. Bayley brought out a golf cart. Bayley tried to run Bianca over. Bianca dodged it. So Bayley was channeling her inner, she channeled her inner Bryan Danielson and her inner Sammy Guevara, who will be having a 2 out of 3 falls match this Wednesday. Bianca and Bayley then brawled on top of the golf cart. Bayley was taken out momentarily. Bianca drove the golf cart with Bayley still on the top. She threw Bayley off of the golf cart, and we got an I am the table moment. When Bayley bounced off the table, it did not break. It looked brutal. I thought that was nasty. Really, really nasty right there. And then Bianca powerbombed Bayley through a table anyway. So Bayley had to take the brunt of the punishment right there. So props to Bayley. Bayley then moved Bianca into the ring after she got back up to a 10 count, just barely. Bianca regained control and brought in a bed of steel chairs. She went for a 450 on the chairs. Bayley moved. Bianca went face first into the chairs. Bayley then hit Bianca with a chair. She tried to hit the rose plant, but Bianca hit a KOD on the chair. The chair went right into Bayley's knee, which looked fucking brutal. Then, this was brilliant. She trapped Bayley in a ladder and then slid the ladder underneath the top turn or the bottom turnbuckle. I almost said the top turnbuckle. Slid the ladder underneath the bottom turnbuckle, and Bayley could not get out. Bayley could not get out, and Bianca Belair wins the last woman standing match and retains the Raw Women's Championship. First things first. This match was great, and this match actually had some of the more creative spots that we've seen in a last man standing match in a good while, and that is what I like. So Bayley and Bianca, they brought out a lot of creativity, so props to them there. Props to them. Now, here's the one criticism I have about this match, and it goes hand in hand with damage control. Was this the wrong outcome? I love Bianca, but Has she gone as far as she could go with the Raw Women's title? Do we really need her to go all the way to WrestleMania? Don't get me wrong. I'm a Bianca Belair guy, and Bianca Belair is a woman that you should build a fucking division around because she's that fucking good. But I mean, I said this yesterday morning. I said this yesterday morning on my weekly show, the LFU. Damage Control has pretty much become the female version of the League of Nations. You're telling me that Bayley has had all these opportunities and she can't beat Bianca? It's virtually the same thing as the League of Nations going up against Roman Reigns and Roman Reigns beating them every single time. And I don't care who the fuck gets on my case about this. Damage Control is virtually dead in the water. It doesn't even matter if Damage Control wins War Games. And Bayley, she has zero credibility at this point. Now, don't get me wrong. Bayley will go down as one of the greatest female performers of all time. She is a made woman. She's done everything there is to do, minus win the Women's Royal Rumble. But I mean, you just lost to Bianca twice, and you got pinned by Candice LeRae, all within a month period. You took 3 major losses, all within the same month. I'm not really understanding how that's supposed to make you look credible. It's almost as if Triple H legitimately just put Damage Control together just to help Bianca get through the fall and winter months, which I don't like at all. That's not how you build a faction. I've said it once, I'll say it again. We were talking about this before we went live. You know how many losses Damage Control should have on their record? 0. None. I have no problem with Damage Control, but the problem with their booking is the fact that you booked them to say, we are taking over control and we're going to own this women's division. Yet, all they do is lose and lose and lose and lose. Loss after loss after loss after loss in these big match situations. It's legitimately equivalent to what happened with Bray Wyatt when he was the Eater of Worlds. Bray Wyatt was the Eater of Worlds. And all he did was talk a big game, and he'd lose. That's all he did. Lose. I'm sorry, I'm failing to see how that would make him look good. Same thing with Damage Control. Bayley lost to Bianca twice. Bayley got pinned by Candice. Dakota Kai and Io Sky were both beaten while they were holding the women's tag team titles, and they initially lost the women's tag team title tournament. They should have no losses on their record. They should have no losses on their record. Even if they win War Games, I don't even think it's going to do them any favors. Now, Triple H is probably thinking along the lines of, okay, you know what? Bayley and Sasha, they're going to get their WrestleMania match, but it's not going to be for a title because that match doesn't really need a title, and I'm going to build up Rhea Ripley to win the Rumble and fight Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. That I have no problem with. But if that was going to be the plan, why did you bring Damage Control together, and why did you put them in a scenario where they were going to pretty much say they're going to take over, and then they don't do shit? You say that, hey, we're here to run the division, yet all you do is lose big matches. That's not really how a major faction known as Damage Control should be. If anything, if Bianca wasn't going to lose the championship, then Damage Control should have been on SmackDown. Bayley should have been going after Liv Morgan and the SmackDown Women's Championship. That way, we would have gotten a hell of a lot of a better match at Extreme Rules than Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey, number one. Ronda didn't need to be the champion. Ronda should be with Shayna, and that's it, with no championship. Now, I'm happy that Shayna Baszler is going to end up beating Ronda and winning the title. I have no problem with that, but I'm not going to sit here and say that Ronda Rousey needed to beat Liv Morgan, and she needed to take the title. She needed to be the one to take the title off of her. If Bayley and Damage Control were going to do the things that they do and say the things that they say, then it should have been in a scenario where they went to SmackDown to take over SmackDown. Because the SmackDown Women's Division is actually worse than the Monday Night Raw Women's Division. Bianca, no need for Bianca to go on a tyrant and beat Bayley and Damage Control 1 week after the other after the other. You don't need to make one individual or individuals look bad just to build up another one. That is a shit mentality, and that's a lame fucking excuse. I love Bayley, but she has zero credibility. The best possible scenario would be to do the NXT Women's and the Women's Tag Team Title Unification match between Damage Control and Katana and Kaden, and then Bayley gets away from Damage Control. She turns babyface. Sasha's a heel, and we get babyface Bayley versus heel Sasha at WrestleMania 39. That's the best way to go about it. Good match. Great match. But I'm sorry. Bayley and Damage Control, they're dead. There's no coming back from it. No one will ever take him seriously.
Well, I absolutely agree with you with your assessment once again, because initially when it was a SummerSlam, right? When they Bayley came back, when they came down, made their entrance, the first thing pops in my mind immediately is like, okay, Bayley's back's been on the shelf for a long time. Definitely is Bayley's going to be the one to take this title off of Bianca Belair down the line at one of the next upcoming pay-per-views. Thought that for sure was going to be the case. Now, Bayley does have a couple of pins on Bianca Belair. Unfortunately, they're not in title matches. They're not. She doesn't get the pins when they matter. So it's like, what are you doing? She's going to win every time the title's not on the line, but then as soon as the title's on the line, all of a sudden, oh no, you got to take the L, Bayley. Now this match, if anybody told me this match was their favorite match of the night, I'm not going to argue with you about that. This match has some phenomenal spots. You already mentioned all of them, obviously, but like that one spot, the production trunk or whatever, when she put Bianca in there, I was thinking the whole time, like, why wouldn't she just sit on top of it and make it even that much harder for Bianca Belair to push that thing over?
Yeah, Bayley kind of looked like a little bit of a bimbo there, but
So I was just thinking. So it was like that was definitely a cool spot, right? It was definitely a cool spot, and also I thought Bayley was going to get the win. And like you said, the spot when she pinned her in the corner with the ladder over top and had her with just beating the hell out of her with the kendo stick. And down below, in between the stairs or whatever, I thought for sure that Bayley's about to win this title. That's going to be it. That's how she's going to take Bianca out. Bianca bows out of that. Like you said, it was a lot of good spots in this match. It was a great match, but you're right. It's just what are they, like you said, what are they doing with Damage Control? They're doing nothing with any meaning. Like I said, the women's tag team titles, they don't mean anything. So I don't take that seriously as being any kind of success story for Damage Control. That's not a success story. That's just a joke. And then Bayley hasn't won a big match since she's been back. Not one big match that she's been in has she won since she's been back. At least not a singles match anyway. And the match at Clash at the Castle was about as big a match as she has won in the trios match at Clash of the Castle. I mean, with scoring the pin on Bianca in that match. Other than that, since the Bayley comeback, it's been meaningless so far. So I totally agree. At this point, cut your losses with Damage Control. Might as well send them all their separate ways at whatever point, and then just move on. Like you said, move on. I think Bayley's heel run maybe is probably. I do agree with that. Bayley's heel run, maybe it's time to switch her back to the face that she always was really meant to be. I think she did a good job pulling off being a heel for the last few years, but at the same time, I think it's time to just let her go back to her natural roots. You don't have to get the ponytail thing and all that, hugger stuff, all that. We don't need all that again. But at the same time, she's a natural. I think Bayley is a natural baby face. You know what I mean? She proved that she could pull the heel thing off, but it's not. It's at this point now. It's kind of hit the wall now. It's time for something different, something new. And Damage Control clearly is not it. Expected so much more when they came out. All three of these women when they came out of SummerSlam that night. Expected so much more from them, and it's just been disappointing. Like you said, it's been a spiral. The fact that they lost the tag team title tournament to Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah.
That was the start of it all.
Like what? That match, that should have never been a thing. How the hell did they lose to Raquel Rodriguez? How could you have us take them seriously and they lost to Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah? So, nothing against Raquel Rodriguez, obviously, but let's face it, we know Aaliyah is nothing special in the ring. So, so just to lose that match, that was just a bad look, and it just like you said, it's been bad ever since, man. So, but this match was absolutely awesome. Though these ladies, Bianca and Bailey, definitely delivered here. Definitely top one or two matches of the night, in my opinion. I thought it was just very, very, very well done by these ladies. And Bailey, like you said, hats off to her. She took some hard bumps in this match, man. It was like a couple different times where I thought she was injured for real. So, yeah, I got to give her hats off to her. She's a competitor, but right now they got her in a storyline I think that is just, it's just a dead storyline. They need to move on and figure out something else for her and get her back on track, man, as one of the top women in this division.
I am going to do another comparison here. Look at the booking of the Judgment Day and Damage Control, and you will see the difference. The Judgment Day has been together. Triple H legitimately took the Judgment Day from obscurity under Vince McMahon, and he made them into the best act on Monday Night Raw. How many big matches had Judgment Day's been around for pretty much around the same time as Damage Control? How many big matches has Judgment Day lost? Maybe one, maybe two. That's it. You had Finn Balor. Finn Balor has been undefeated. Finn Balor has been undefeated in singles competition since he has taken over the Judgment Day. He beat Dolph Ziggler. He beat Rey Mysterio. He beat Matt Riddle. He beat Edge. You have the Judgment Day winning at Extreme Rules. They are winning at Crown Jewel. I mean, look at the difference. The difference, it's like night and day. It's legitimately like night and day. But yeah, Damage Control, it's time to cut their losses. I'm not sure where they're going to go, but we'll see how the Women's War Games match ends up. We had a Bray Wyatt promo before we had the main event. Bray Wyatt came out to address the Saudi Arabian crowd. Crowd was hyped up for Bray Wyatt. He says, "My name is Bray Wyatt." And there was a time in which I would do anything to make sure I would be standing on top, that I would be known as the greatest. I came from a wrestling family, and I had to be the greatest of all time. Crowd chanted, "Yes, you are." I did what I thought I needed to do. I gave in, and I made a monster of myself, and I wore that mask with pride, and I no longer felt pain, and I could no longer be afraid. I was untouchable, and I admit that it felt good. I had myself unto an island by myself. I sat alone. The crowd then chanted, "We love you." He then said, "But that's the thing. No one loves me. People love the idea of me. I don't even love me. That is not the man I want to be remembered as. My name is Bray Wyatt, and I will be here to rewrite the ending to my story." All of a sudden, Uncle Howdy comes up on the screen, and he says that you can't fool me. The truth is, you're going to go too far, and you'll remember how good it feels. And if it feels so good, just don't take the mask off. Tell me that I'm wrong. Now, it seems like Bray Wyatt, he is pretty much battling his inner demons. He doesn't want to be remembered as that nasty guy who was the eater of worlds or the fiend. He wants to be remembered as a man that came to the WWE and did things the right way. And Uncle Howdy and whoever that female was, it could very well be his sister, Mika Rotunda. It seems like his inner demons have now taken on a life of their own, aka Uncle Howdy. The thing that we're going to have to watch out for is who is going to be the first person that Bray Wyatt's going to do these bad things to. That's what's going to be interesting. Who is Bray Wyatt going to target first? And who is Bray Wyatt going to do these bad things to because of Uncle Howdy. When will Uncle Howdy pressure Bray Wyatt to finally snap? I don't know. And to be quite honest with you, I can't give you a straightforward answer. But I'm intrigued. It's looking pretty damn good. It's very fun. Very fun. So, you know what? I'm along for the ride. Maybe after Survivor Series, we could very well get more of an answer to that. Maybe after Survivor Series is where we really start to see who Bray Wyatt is going to target first. Are they going to take this to WrestleMania? Are they going to add members of the Wyatt Six now? Or are we going to wait a few months before we see the very first member of the Wyatt Six? I don't know. It's going to be very, very interesting. But what did you make of this promo, and where do you think it's heading? I don't have a clear-cut answer for you.
It's tough to say where it's heading because, like you said, Bray Wyatt's always been so mysterious. But I mean, I love Bray Wyatt with a microphone in his hand. I think there's not very many better with a microphone in their hand than Bray Wyatt. Man, he just commands your attention, and I just love when he speaks, man. But as far as the Wyatt Six, man, I'm curious if they're going to turn this into a bit of a family act. I mean, could we get a return of maybe even Bo Dallas, man, his brother? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could be all kinds of different things, different ways we could go about this because this guy has kind of disappeared into oblivion, man. I haven't really seen or heard anything from him since his exit from WWE. Could he be returning with his big brother, man, and be part of this faction? Like you said, his sister. There's so many ways they can go with this, man. I'm just looking forward to getting Bray Wyatt like back in the ring, in the mix, and seeing who he does target first, man. Because I've also been thinking about, maybe this sounds crazy, but the way Liv Morgan's been acting recently, man, could you see any possibility where her maybe kind of joining in something like how Alexa Bliss was, like kind of demented, dark role, man? Like she's been kind of wigged out since that loss to Ronda Rousey, man. The way she's been attacking like Sonya Deville and the way she took out Lacey Evans, and she's been a much more, like I said, lack of a better term, just violent Liv Morgan as of late, you know. So it's a lot of different angles, a lot of different ways they could go with this, man.
They could do that. Although Wyatt's signal did come up during Alexa Bliss's backstage promo at Crown Jewel, if you saw. So Alexa could very well be involved as well. It's going to be very, very interesting. I don't know. That's probably a good thing because now we're going to be surprised when we actually get the final outcome.
And I love surprises. I absolutely love surprises. I like when I don't see it coming, man. I love when they hit me with something that I didn't already expect to happen. So I'm intrigued by this, man, and I can't wait to see where Bray Wyatt goes with this going forward. But I know one thing for certain, it's going to be good.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Main event, Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. The main issue with this match, it was never the match quality. I'm sure that people understood that after Logan Paul's match at WrestleMania and then his match at SummerSlam, in which he led The Miz to The Miz's best match since his match with Dolph Ziggler at No Mercy 2016, and The Miz sucks, I think everyone with a brain kind of expected this match to be a great wrestling match. But at the end of the day, people were shunned away from this match specifically because of the fact that it was unbelievable. There was no believability in this match. There is no way that you could sell a match between an individual who's been in the business and has had two matches, versus a man who has been on the most dominant championship title reign of the last 35 years in Roman Reigns. It was unbelievable. Doesn't matter who you put against Roman Reigns. If you're going to put someone with two fucking matches against someone like Roman with the run that he's been on, no one is going to buy into it. And it was only done because the Saudi Arabian prince asked for it. That's it. That's it. But I think that we're really gonna have to get used to Logan Paul shutting everybody up. I don't want to say that this was the best match of the year, but Logan Paul and Roman Reigns did everything in their power to give you a match that people are at least going to put on their top 10 list for 2022 when all is said and done. I knew it was going to be good. I don't think people expected it to be this good. Logan Paul, I don't like him personally. I think he's just another product of the media. He's just another liberal geek. He's just another stooge of the public that rose to fame with sheer luck. But professionally, Logan Paul is unreal. Logan Paul is fantastic. More and more, every single time I see him, I'm really becoming a Logan Paul advocate. I really am. Logan Paul, this guy knows what the fuck he's doing. This guy knows exactly what he needs to do. This guy gets professional wrestling. This guy has it. This guy has it. This was probably one of, if not, Roman Reigns' best match of 2022. It's this match, it's the match with Drew McIntyre, and it's the match with Brock Lesnar. Those three matches, the last three title defenses that Roman has had have been three of his best matches of his title reign. Some really good stuff over here. Logan Paul, he came down with his entrance, and they had him descending from a podium like a fucking god. Roman came out with his usual entrance. The bell rang. I did not expect them to start with the collar and elbow tie-up. I thought that they were going to go for that one lucky shot early, but they didn't. So Roman used his power early on. Collar and elbow tie-up. They shoved each other a little bit. Paul then took Roman down. Roman then took Paul down. We had a nice fireman's carry by Logan Paul. Roman Reigns then with a right hand. Roman Reigns then took a breather. Paul then told Roman Reigns, stop running, Tribal Chief. So Paul, with some body shots. Nice hip toss by Paul. He clotheslined Roman over the top rope. Reigns then tossed Paul over the barricade. Roman Reigns was showing off. Paul with a springboard crossbody off the barricade onto Reigns. Logan Paul then channeled his inner Adam Hangman Page, and he delivered a buckshot lariat with all his fucking force. Buckshot lariat, Roman Reigns kicked out. Logan Paul then with a springboard, but Roman Reigns caught him with a throat thrust. Reigns then slowed the pace down with a jumping clothesline on Paul. Reigns then trash talked Logan Paul while Roman Reigns had him in the camel clutch. Paul then got out of it with a gut-wrench suplex. Paul then mounted a comeback. He had a very nice blockbuster from the middle rope. Reigns then got hit with a Superman punch by Logan Paul. Yes, Logan Paul pulled out a Superman punch on Roman Reigns right on the money. Roman Reigns kicked out. Roman Reigns was down. Logan Paul then with a crossbody off the top rope, standing moonsault for a 2. Paul went for sweet chin music because he was trained by Shawn Michaels. Roman Reigns delivered a Uranagi. Roman Reigns got the Uranagi. Roman Reigns then went for the Superman punch, but Logan caught him with a punch to the kidney. Logan Paul delivered that one lucky shot right to the head. Paul with another Superman punch. Roman Reigns just barely kicked out. Great near fall. Paul then took apart the Saudi Arabian announce table, put Roman on it. He looked over to his entourage. He took a phone. He recorded himself like a fucking douchebag, and I loved it. recorded himself doing a beautiful frog splash off the top rope through the table with the cell phone still in his hand. It looked awesome. Afterwards, the Usos came out and they attacked Logan Paul's entourage. Super kicks to the face. All of a sudden, Jake Paul then came out. Jake Paul came out and he knocked out Jimmy and Jay. Logan Paul then put Roman Reigns back in the ring, delivered another beautiful frog splash. Roman Reigns just barely kicked out. Another great near fall. Solo Sikoa then came out. The referees came out to separate them. Logan Paul dove over the top rope, taking out the Usos. He went back into the ring. Roman Reigns caught him with a Superman punch and a vicious fucking spear. Speared Logan Paul in half. 1, 2, 3. Roman Reigns retains the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. I don't care what anyone says when I say this, but Logan Paul is probably the greatest celebrity outsider to come into the world of professional wrestling and take to it like a fish to water. I don't think I've ever seen anyone who has been as naturally gifted for pro wrestling that's coming from the outside world like a Logan Paul. Absolutely unbelievable. This guy, I cannot give all the praise in the world to this guy. My words will not do it justice. If you have not watched this match, go back and rewatch it. It was excellent. Probably one of the best Saudi Arabian main events that we will ever see. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And it was an excellent match to cap off what was an excellent show. Excellent. Excellent, excellent stuff. Do not have enough praise for Logan Paul. Matt, take us home.
Like you said it, man. Logan Paul is he's a bit of a douchebag, man, but he delivers in the ring. He is one hell of an athlete, man, and he proved it once again. I mean, the only other celebrity outside of wrestling that they've brought in that I could even put in the same category as Logan Paul was the Bad Bunny at WrestleMania, a match a few years ago. Other than that, those are like been the only two like outsiders that I've seen that looked competent in the ring, looked like they knew what they were doing, looked like they belonged in the ring. And I want to see more from Logan Paul, honestly, in the ring. I've become a fan of his in-ring stuff, man. It's only match number 3, and they've all been bangers, man. They've all been great performances. I mean, this kid has something special, man. And if he wants to go forward with this, I'm not mad at him, man. Like, I don't know what else they could have down the line for him. I mean, you saw his brother come down and have a little face-off with Solo Sikoa. I don't know if anything's going to amount from that. I have no idea what Jake Paul was going on through Jake Paul's mind, if he wants to get involved in this a little bit too, seeing the success that his brother's having. But I would love to see more from Logan Paul, man. Like you said, this match, man, that frog splash off the top with the cell phone, come on, man. That's professional stuff there. That's stuff that you look for from veterans that's been doing this for years. Not a guy that kind of, I mean, obviously, no, he's been into combat sports and everything for however many years he's been doing it in his life, his personal life. But this is still a different level, man, here in WWE. It's a different, you gotta know how to perform the proper way, safe and everything. And Logan Paul, he seems like a natural talent, man. So you can feel any way you want about the guy. He definitely gets it done in the ring. And to be in there with a guy that's held on to the WWE title for over 2 years, that was an impressive performance, man. Like, you just can't say more about it. It left me a little bit speechless, honestly, because like you said, the only thing about this match was the credibility of it all. Like you said, just nobody was going to believe Logan Paul was actually going to win the world title. I mean, nobody believed that going into this match, and we knew that wasn't going to happen. So we pretty much did already know what the end result was going to be regardless. But Logan Paul still delivered an absolute banger, and this match will be remembered will be remembered for a long time, man. And like you said, I'd take it a step forward and say it is by far, to me, was the best main event match out of any crown jewel that I can remember. I can't even remember many of the other main events. That's how bad some of them have been. So yeah, I think Logan Paul here deliver, man. And if he wants to come on in a more full time way, I'm definitely not against it, man, because he's definitely got it in the ring, man.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And here's where I see Roman Reigns going. Obviously, we got the War Games match. I see the Brawling Brutes in the New Day facing off against the Bloodline. I see Brawling Brutes in the New Day winning. I actually see Sheamus as Roman's next challenger going into the Royal Rumble, just because of how hot Sheamus is and how good he is. That right there, that's a very good match that I would love to see them experiment with. That's a great match, dude.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I could see because Sheamus, they're starting to bring Bill Sheamus back up. I feel like he kind of got into a little bit of a, rut himself, and now they got him with the brought Pete Dunne. Butch and Rich Holland over the Brawling Brutes, and he's getting out of that. He's really been picking himself, building himself back up. Had that good war with Gunther. Great matches. I mean, oh God, that Clash at the Castle match, him and Gunther.
Dude.
Oh my God, that match still
that's
gives
a
me
match of the
chills,
year
man.
candidate for me, dude.
Absolutely, that match still gives me chills, man. So I would love to see Sheamus kind of get thrusted back into that title mix like that. That would be awesome to see him and Roman Reigns go at it. Like I said, I'm still curious. Like I said, are they planning on keeping them ever separating the titles again, or are they just planning on keeping it as one? I'm okay with just the one champion.
I hope that they keep it as one.
Yeah, I'm okay with with just the one, because I just feel like it kind of lessens it all when there's a title here, a title there, like one world champion. You know what I mean? And let them defend against whoever the best contenders are, whether they compete on SmackDown or on Raw. So I definitely would be on board with seeing him at Sheamus and Roman Reigns. That would be an awesome feud to kick off the new year, potentially, man. And let's see it happen. Make it happen, Triple H, man. The fans want that, man. Make it happen, man. Bring it.
Should be a great scenario for Sheamus, and I'm very, very happy he's getting that shine. But ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this edition of The Rewind. I would like to thank each and every single one of you who tuned into this video. You guys have been great. This live stream, huge success, great audience for a Sunday, I will say that. Please make sure, if you haven't already done so, follow me on all my social media platforms, like, comment, and subscribe. We got plenty more content coming. I'm going to be on Earl's show, The Wrestling Experience, this Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be good. And we got the rundown for Full Gear with All Elite Mikey, and then the Rewind with Antonio Carium. First time ever, Antonio Carium, Wrestling Express member. Shout out to the Wrestling Express family and Tommy McGrogan specifically. He's going to be on my show on November 20th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Then we got the rundown for Survivor Series with Raging Girl Gamer on the 22nd at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then also, for those here in Jersey, this Friday in Butler, New Jersey, November 11th, Butler, New Jersey at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, ISPW Survive is taking place at St. Anthony Church Gym in Butler. I missed the last two shows because of family events. I am not missing a third one. I'm going to be there on Friday the 11th, so I hope to see y'all there. We got a big Survivor Series-esque tag team match. We got Bull James, HC Locke, and The Now. This is Vic Delicious and Hale Collins. They're taking on Justin Carino's team of him, Rick Recon, Crowbar, and Percival Payne. It's going to be great. Also, we got Michael Mars defending the Tri-State title against GKM. We got Vargas, the Dominican Destroyer, taking on TJ Epics. It's going to be good. So that's what I want to see. I want to see all y'all at ISPW Survive for those here in Jersey. Mac, thank you very much for coming on. You were great. You offered a great
perspective. Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, not a problem, man. It's always great to collaborate with some fellow hardcore sports companions. But one more time, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Obviously, you can find me all of those spots. Mac the Giants fan, just like it's spelled up here on the screen. MACDA Giants fan, man. I bring it every week, every Wednesday. I do my NFC East roundtable show with my co-host Adam Costas every Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Like I said, during the football season, I focus more on my NFL content, my New York Giants stuff. But like I said, once we get into the off season, I dabble a lot into the wrestling content and other things because I gotta do something to keep my off season going. So, you can definitely find me on all of those platforms. Mac the Giants fan, just like it's spelled on the screen.
That's the way to go, baby. That's the way to go. But I'm DJ Storms. He's Mac the Giants fan. This has been The Rewind. But before we get out of here, there's a universal question that everybody got to answer. I think I know. You know what the question is, man. Who runs the IWC?
DJ motherfucking
You damn right, baby. You damn right. Who but DJ motherfucking Storms? I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.